is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today. This is your 420 Radio News for Monday, November 18th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Democratic lawmaker wants to help pot smokers lock and load, from the Daily Caller. Colorado Democratic Representative Jared Polis introduced a bill in Congress last week that would allow people who smoke marijuana in legal states to also own guns. In 2011, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives sent an open letter to all federally licensed gun sellers, warning them that it's illegal for anyone who is, quote, an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance, end quote, to own a gun or ammunition. The memo made clear that, quote, regardless of whether his or her state has passed legislation authorizing marijuana use for medical reasons, end quote, owning a firearm is prohibited. Polis's bill is intended to amend the law to, quote, provide exceptions from the firearm prohibitions otherwise applicable in relation to marijuana if its possession is lawful under state law, end quote. Pennsylvania parents of children with epilepsy pin hopes on pot bill, from TribLive.com. Senators Dalen Leach, Democrat of Montgomery County, and Mike Fulner, Republican of Lebanon County, will introduce legislation to legalize medical marijuana with a high ratio of CBD. It's a thick oil made from CBD, which patients can place under the tongue and add to food. When made from the right strain of plant, the medicine does not contain enough of the psychoactive element THC to get a patient high. CBD oil nearly stopped seizures in Charlotte Figi, a 5-year-old in Colorado with Dravet syndrome, a severe form of epilepsy. Her story was featured in a CNN documentary by Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and her mother Paige will speak in Harrisburg. The Food and Drug Administration recently gave approval to GW Pharmaceuticals to investigate treating epilepsy with CBD, along with a clinical trial at New York University. Senator Leach said he's encouraged by some bipartisan support for the CBD bill, though he has not discussed it with Senate leaders. Half of Wisconsin voters support marijuana legalization, from Madison.com. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mary Burke seemed amused when asked what she thought about cannabis legalization several weeks ago. Quote, I don't think that's where the people of Wisconsin are at, end quote, said Burke, who has indicated she could support legalizing medical marijuana. The most recent statewide poll by the Marquette University Law School showed that roughly half of Wisconsin's registered voters support full legalization of the drug. Specifically, 49.7% supported legalization, 44.9% opposed it, and 4.7% didn't know. Marijuana decriminalization in Puerto Rico will have to wait, from Huffington Post. The island's lower house let the legislative session expire without taking up a bill passed by the Puerto Rican Senate that would have decriminalized the possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana, Puerto Rican daily El Nuevo Dia reports. The bill's author has vowed to reintroduce the measure next year. The proposal is one of 2 major bills that question the issue of marijuana prohibition during this year's legislative session. The other bill would have legalized marijuana for medical use. But efforts to ease marijuana regulation hit a speed bump this month when a survey by Puerto Rican daily El Nuevo Dia found overwhelming opposition to them. A whopping 70% of respondents opposed decriminalization and 60% opposed legalizing medical marijuana. Under Puerto Rico's current law, marijuana possession carries penalties of up to 3 years in jail and up to $5,000 in fines. Being white is best defense against marijuana arrest, recent report proves. According to a report released by the New York Attorney General last week, the number one reason for arresting people stopped under New York's controversial stop and frisk law was marijuana possession. And 87% of the people nabbed for pot possession after a stop and frisk were black or Latino. And if you were white, or for that matter Asian, and you were unlucky enough to get arrested for having some marijuana on you, you were 50% more likely to have a court throw out your case than if you were black, the report showed. The ACLU found that blacks are arrested 3.73 times more often for marijuana possession than whites, even though people of both races use marijuana at similar rates, and among 18 to 25-year-olds, whites use pot more often. Colorado fire officials fear explosion of marijuana oil production. Fire officials in Colorado say they are concerned the state's new laws on marijuana will lead to more accidents. Last month, the Colorado Information Analysis Center put out a bulletin warning about the dangers of hash oil production at home, noting numerous cases, including some deaths. This has been your 420 Radio News for Monday, November 18th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we take a look at the 25th anniversary release of the Drug Testing Index and some shocking statistics concerning marijuana, opioids, and amphetamines. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.